I'm here at the EV workshop in Herne Bay in Kent. I've been here a couple of times before. You may have seen the videos, both with LEAF issues. Now, the first one had a battery cell that needed replacing. The second time was a whole pack that was replaced. And the whole pack was replaced for a guy called Sean. And I'm here with Sean's wife, Jade. And this is Jade's Nissan LEAF. They do love the LEAF. This is the 40 kilowatt hour. This has an issue, and annoyingly, Nissan won't replace it under warranty.
It was actually 1 day over the 5-year warranty.
Jade is going to swap out the pack from this with a 50 kilowatt hour pack, and hopefully it's going to be much easier than the previous time, because the previous time was a bit of a nightmare.
I don't think I've ever been so nervous.
This time it's a whole self-contained pack, and it should be pretty easy. Shall we see?
When you do a lot of these jobs, you do get in some bad habits. There we go.
This video is sponsored by eVision Electric Vehicles, the UK's first and largest all-electric vehicle hire company. So I'm back at the EV workshop with Cameron and Dean, and this is Jade, and Jade is the wife of Sean. I was here with Sean in the previous video with his LEAF. He had a 24 kilowatt hour LEAF and he swapped his battery for a 50 kilowatt hour because some of the cells were dying. So there's a little bit of deja vu because Jade has a similar issue with this. What's your problem?
With this car, what I was finding when I first got it, the battery was quite full. As I went through and the battery depleted, I'd noticed the percentage was fluctuating very rapidly, and just it was really disconcerting because you think, oh, you know, you've got 50% battery left, that's plenty to get home, and then suddenly it'll say 20, 30, 20, and you're panicking a bit. After a little bit of research and looked into it a little bit more, we realised it's actually seems to be like a known problem with this particular year of LEAF, and it's some faulty cells.
Is this a 40 kilowatt hour LEAF?
It is 40, yeah. When we bought it, we were expecting, to have a good, like, sort of 180 miles on it. We thought, regularly be getting. And realistically now, it gets me about, at most, 50 miles. So... yeah.
Oh, that's stressful.
It's very stressful, yeah. So I find there's particular things that exacerbate it as well. So it's steep hills, and unfortunately my way home from work is quite a few sort of hills, and you find it's dropping significantly. You'll go down a hill and you'll get a nice bit of regen, and you're suddenly 20% higher than you were just a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
But it's just so unreliable.
So because Sean was happy with his upgrade...
Oh, he absolutely loves it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's so chuffed, yeah.
So you've decided to do the same with this.
Yes. Yeah.
So you'll be swapping a 40 kilowatt hour for a 50 kilowatt hour, right? So you'll have obviously a battery that works, hopefully, and you'll get more range.
Yes,
so that'd be great. And is this an issue you see a lot on 40 kilowatt hour LEAFs?
Yeah. So more so the EMVs, because we look after a fleet of London taxis, which are EMV based 40 kilowatt hour, and it's a very typical symptom of early battery failure, where once the charge drops below around 50%, the predicted range fluctuates all over the place. I've never heard one say they get as little range from a charge as 50 miles. That's quite surprising. But yeah, it's a very common fault.
You were talking about the EMVs. You said that they've got cooling, they've got thermal management, right?
Yeah, so unlike the LEAFs, which I know is very controversial, the EMVs do have some thermal management. They have air conditioning ports on the battery, small condenser inside, and a fan that distributes that air around the battery. However, even with the thermal management, it doesn't seem to make the batteries any more reliable, unfortunately. We still see the exact same symptoms that Jade described on the LEAF, and just as early failures on them. So
right, okay.
I think mainly it's just down to poor design. So this is an EMV pack out of a 2022 taxi that we look after. This one's been here for a little while, unfortunately, because even though we've replaced the modules in this and the cells are now all good, there was an additional unforeseen issue. So the failure that Jade described earlier, quite more often than not actually, when we take the lid off the pack, the cells are quite badly swollen, particularly in the rear stack, which is where they're arranged upright like this. So the BMU, this part here, sits on the end of the rear stack here. And what happened in this case is the swelling was so severe that it's caused the BMU to bow out and obviously caused some internal damage. And it was reading the cell voltages incorrectly, which was preventing the vehicle from starting. So we've had to order another BMU. Unfortunately, it had to come from Japan. So there's been a bit of a wait for the customer. As we were saying earlier about the thermal management, these are the air conditioning ports here on the EMV. And what it does is it has in this area of the battery, it has a condenser and a fan which distributes the air, and this ducting sits in the middle of the front two stacks here and feeds the rear stack. But as I said earlier, unfortunately it still doesn't seem to prevent the premature failure that these batteries experience.
Is this pretty high mileage though?
No, this is 69,000 miles,
okay.
This EMV.
Right.
We've seen the mileage does seem to range where the failure is, but the most common failures seem to be between 70 and 100,000 miles.
Okay.
You do get the odd exemption from that, where there's one we look after that's on 170,000 miles, right, that has still got the original battery in it.
Okay.
And there's nothing he seems to do different. These guys, they try and fast charge as infrequently as possible, okay, but no matter what they do, there doesn't seem to be a sort of concrete way of preventing this from happening.
Right, okay. Do they still like these EMV 200s despite this?
Do you know what? Despite this, and even factoring in a complete battery refurb, so this isn't just a repair, these are all brand new modules from Nissan. Yeah. So it's quite a hefty bill. It's around between sort of £7,500 to £8,000 to do this. But despite this, the taxi drivers say even if they're factoring in a full battery refurb every 4 years, it's still cheaper than running a diesel taxi. God. Because like clutches, injectors, higher servicing bills and all the other failures, turbochargers, they still say to me that it's still cheaper factoring in this repair, wow, over running like a Vito or a Sprinter, or not a Sprinter obviously too big, but a Vito or something similar like that.
Yeah, and it is decent to drive, isn't it? I mean, it's still a nice...
Yeah, it's nice to drive,
yeah,
quiet, air conditioning, a lot of space, so they prefer them over the other alternative in London at least, which is the LEVC black cab. The guys that have got these really want to keep hold of them, okay, but unfortunately you can't get these anymore, so okay, the guys are really keen to keep them on the road.
So we're hoping that this VIVNE one, because they're newer cells, hopefully that will help.
Hopefully, yeah, so yeah, newer cells, different structure,
yeah.
And I don't think they've not been around long enough really for anyone to do the long time in them yet. But I mean, Sean's one's still going well, so we can only be optimistic that this one will be just as good, hopefully a bit better.
Yeah. And the batteries themselves are from CATL, which are the biggest manufacturer in the world. So hopefully they're good. Last time we were here, you obviously had all the internals of the battery pack and you're putting in all the different modules and whatever. This is easier this time, isn't it?
Yeah, so this should be a really nice day. We've got a complete battery there. This is the VIVNE pack. As you can see, it's a complete unit, so nice and easy to fit, hopefully. It's got some nice little extras, little 3D printed covers for to protect the terminals here. A lot more sealant than Nissan use, which can only be a good thing. Yeah, so other than that, the only thing I'm not sure is if it's plug and play. We might have to do a little bit of coding, but it's only really soft coding on these anyway. You just write the VIN on the BMU. But I'm pretty sure if it's like the one we done last year, it should just be plug and play, and no programming will be required. So it should be a case of just drop the old battery, up the new one goes, a lot less labour and a lot less strenuous of a job, to be honest. So.
Yeah. How long do you think this is going to take then? Should I time you?
What do you reckon, Cam? How long?
Well, it's got to be I reckon we'll be done by about 12, 1 o'clock, so a few hours.
Yeah,
Got
so
a few hours.
definitely, yeah. So,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if it was just a normal day, you know, without the filming and a bit of chatting in between, we'd probably do this in a couple of hours.
Okay.
In a fraction of what it takes to swap out the internals into the existing pack.
How many miles have you done in this?
I can't actually remember. I have to have a think
Okay.
about it.
We'll turn it on.
I'll check
Yeah.
So it's on 50,704 miles.
I think I bought it around 40,000. I've been using Sean's car while he's using mine, so I have a lot further to drive to work.
I guess you enjoy the car if you're swapping the battery out.
I do, and I had almost identical car previously, a lease scheme through my work.
Okay.
That was my first experience of electric vehicles. I do wish I'd done it sooner. I do wish I'd bought an electric car sooner. But having that lease scheme helped me test it out first and see, did I get on with having an electric car? And we thought, well, I'll use the lease car, and Sean's got his petrol car in the meantime, and we'll see how we get on. Within 6 weeks of me using this car, Sean wanted one as well. So, yeah, 6 weeks of trying it, and we had 2 electric cars in the house.
Before it goes up in the air, disconnect the 12 volt battery, pull the service plug, then we can go up in the air and start getting the under trays off and everything.
Still on the original 12 volt by the looks of it. I'm assuming. Must be the
Yeah,
original.
yeah, definitely the original, yeah, Renault Nissan. A lot of manufacturers now have put replacing the 12 volt battery in part of the service schedule.
Oh, right.
Because, well, I guess maybe one, to up the price of the servicing a little bit, and two, we do tend to see them fail a little bit more frequently than traditional ones. BMW, I know, every 4 years, like on the i3s, for example, you're supposed to change the 12 volt battery. And to be fair to BMW, we quite often see them fail if they go past that 4-year mark.
Okay.
So they obviously put it there for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I've had history with 12 volts failing in my Nero.
Yeah. Right, service plug, yeah? Safety first, 0 rated gloves.
So we've got this small panel on the inside that you've got to remove first, just in between the 2 front seats. Just sort of pops up out of the way, either side, and then that then reveals a little panel, just 3 10mm bolts there, and underneath will be the high voltage service plug that we've got to do, and that will be the last stage of one of the last stages of our decommissioning. Then underneath there is your service plug for the battery.
And this can sometimes be a real bugger to take out, right?
Yes, especially if the service plug has never been out before, which the service plug, unless there has been some high voltage repairs, wouldn't actually have been taken out. You have to lift up this tab here, either side, that's it, this tab, and then service plug out.
Oh, easy.
No 20 minutes like last time.
So we just got a series of 10mm bolts and little plastic clips, so we can remove all these under trays. Then we can access the bolts that hold the battery to the car, as well as the connections for the 12 volt and the high voltage circuits. That's it.
That's it. A lot of crap under there, isn't there? God.
Yeah, that's not.
That's correct.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely compared to the London taxis.
Yeah.
Loads under there.
Loads of stones. We had one guy live down a bit of a dirt track, didn't we? And it was that bad under there that we thought his car had been in a flood, like muddy water, but it was just the track from where he lived. Right, so here are our 3 connections. We've got our 2 high voltage connections here, and then this is our 12 volt connection, which goes to the BMU for cell voltage monitoring and all that sort of stuff. Grab the gloves again. All we're going to do now, we're just going to check for presence of high voltage to make sure pulling the service plug has done what it's supposed to do and the system's safe to work on.
Do we think people are going to complain that you weren't wearing the zero-rated gloves to pull that off?
Probably, yes, yeah. And when you do a lot of these jobs, you do get in some bad habits. So, but obviously I didn't touch any bus bars or any. It's not like I'm licking the terminals or anything. So.
Also, you need a bit of dexterity, don't you, to get that thing off?
If you watch the first video of yours, you see we had a bit of trouble with that. We've done so many now, we're getting a bit used to how these plugs work. And I mean, every time manufacturers put 2 or 3 stages on these high voltage plugs I mean, it's a safety thing, you know, there's a very high voltage there, it's dangerous. So you understand why they have to do it. But your service data or your whatever data you use, all data, auto data or something, will tell you how to safely remove them. But you've obviously got to ensure that you've shut down the high voltage system correctly first, which is what we're doing now. And as you can see, we've got almost no voltage there, so we know this system is safe to work on.
So remind me how old your car is?
Well, it's 70 plate, so it's 6 years now.
Okay.
I actually bought it last summer, so we've had it for 1 year. Didn't drive the car very much initially because I still had my old car and we're just sorting out insurance and everything like that. So it was only like, you know, a few weeks later that we really noticed the fault. And really at that point we should have returned the car to the garage that we bought it from, but in our minds it had an 8-year battery warranty, and the car was only 5 years old at the time. So we contacted Nissan, started to go through the process. How do we arrange for the battery to be looked at and replaced under warranty? It turns out that 8-year warranty, I think a lot of Leaf owners wouldn't be aware of this, but that 8-year warranty is just on those 12 bars of capacity.
Okay.
So on your dash you see the 12 bars, and if you drop below, I think it's 9 bars, that's covered under the 8-year warranty. Any other faults with the battery, it's a 5-year warranty. So we didn't realise that at the time, and we didn't realise either when we first contacted Nissan. The first email we sent them, it was actually 1 day over the 5-year warranty. So, I mean, when we first bought the car, it was within warranty. And it's the kind of thing that you think, oh, they'll just honour it, you know, it's not that far out.
Yeah.
One of the things that held it against us was that the last service had a full service history, but the last service wasn't with a Nissan dealership, another well-known dealership. They didn't honour it, so it was such a hassle. And we thought, you know, we had the experience with Sean's car previously and just thought, why not? You know, we've put money in this car, let's just make it a really good car. So
if you're not aware of Nissan LEAFs, they're quite unique actually, that they show you the battery health or supposed battery health, and you've got 12 bars, like Jade was talking about. Now the problem is that your battery can be dodgy and they can still show quite a few bars, so you can't really treat it as gospel. That's why it's so good using LeafSpy, because those battery bars, it could say 11 bars, but actually it could be dodgy. So that's really bad actually that Nissan just honour the warranty or the 8-year warranty just based on that. It's a bit cheeky, Nissan, if you're watching this.
Yes.
I'm sure they are. But that's something to bear in mind if you're looking for a second-hand Leaf.
All the hard legwork done now. It's just a case of undoing all these retaining fixings, and then we can drop this battery and up goes the new one.
Brilliant. How many of these do you think you've done? I mean, I know this will be the first complete pack, aftermarket pack that you've done, is it?
First complete aftermarket pack.
Yeah.
The only other aftermarket pack being the one that we done with you previously.
Yeah.
As for high voltage battery replacements now, we're probably I would say maybe around 50 across all manufacturers, you know, Nissan, Mitsubishi, BMW. Sometimes we have to drop them to do another repair. For example, on the Jaguar I-Pace, the high voltage like PTC heater or cabin heater is sort of above the high voltage battery.
Right.
So you have to drop, even though you're not doing any work on the battery, you have to drop it to replace that component, which unfortunately is a common failure.
Right.
So, I mean, we've had probably removed countless batteries for various reasons. And so we're getting quite familiar now. We're still learning new things every day, whether it's, you know, watching videos online or newsletter from Hevra. Hevra do a newsletter called Unplugged, which gives us a lot of information about new makes and models and different quirks they have and things like that. So yeah, it's just gathering as much information as you can really to try and do the job as well as we can.
No tend to the back, is it? It's just
No, just those. So that's everything undone apart from the 4 main corner retaining bolts to the chassis. So we're going to get the table in place, lower it down on the table, and then it's ready to come out. Yep.
No sealant on this.
Yeah, so the sealant on this is under there.
Oh, right.
Okay. That was what Sean's pack coming.
Oh, right.
In boxes. Worth her weight in gold there. Yeah. There we go. Right. How are you looking at the front?
I might go a little bit more towards you. I'm not a million miles off there.
So we get a couple of bolts. Side.
So obviously you see a few LEAFs and EVs, obviously. What other manufacturers do you find fairly unreliable? Because you mentioned Mitsubishi.
Yeah,
so are they a problem?
I would say after Nissan, they're probably the most common EV we see or hybrid vehicle we see is probably the Outlander, isn't it? I would say.
Okay.
They suffer with the CMU, which is the little module that controls the cell monitoring unit. So a little module that monitors the voltage of a bank of 8 or 10 cells, I can't quite remember. They suffer with condensation, water ingress, things like that. We see a lot of Jaguars. The I-Pace is probably, it might be controversial, but it's probably our least favourite EV from a technician standpoint.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, lovely to drive when they're working, but every job on them just seems to be a real pain.
Right.
Nothing ever seems to be straightforward on them.
I know people that have had I-Paces that I think they've said that the I-Pace has been in the workshop more than they've actually been driving it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I mean,
but they love them when they're working.
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Lovely cars to drive, but not without their common faults. And unfortunately, all the common faults seem to be real labour-intensive jobs. Like, give you an example, they have a air conditioning pipe that's got a common failure point on a weld on a bracket from the factory. Right. So it leaks air conditioning, refrigerant, sorry. That air conditioning pipe, to change that, the correct procedure is to drop the whole front drivetrain because the pipe wraps around the motor and with the whole front stack.
Oh, God.
So I think the book time from memory is about 9 hours.
Oh, God.
So they're just not very nice vehicles to work on, to be honest.
Yeah, because I keep seeing them used because they're depreciated, obviously, like a brick. And I think, oh God, I'd love an I-Pace, but then I keep thinking no, because it costs too much to keep it going.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy one myself. Other manufacturer, we see a lot of Toyota Lexus stuff as well.
Okay.
mainly for battery failure. You get the infamous P0A80 error code, which is replace hybrid battery pack.
Right, okay.
That's usually down to a mixture of poorly cells or corroded bus bars.
Okay.
But they've been around so long, you can get remanufactured cells for them relatively cheap. And in comparison to a lot of other EVs, the jobs on them are quite cheap in sort of invoice costs, you know. So yeah, quite like the Toyota Lexus stuff.
Okay.
We'd recommend them. Japanese and Korean tends to be what we recommend if someone asks us if which EV should we buy. We know China are really close behind at the moment, but for us as an independent, we don't really see many of their models because most of them are still relatively new, with the exception of MG. We see a few MGs. They seem to be okay, mainly for servicing. Okay. They do have some failure points, DC-DC converters, for example, which can be a bit difficult because it's built into the inverter, right. And they're part of the immobiliser system, so they're coded to the VIN. Okay. So officially, you can only buy a new one because that VIN cannot be rewritten. Right. So you can't fit a second-hand one. There are ways around it. Okay. But yeah, they can be a bit of a pain.
And in terms of getting parts, how are they for that?
Again, a little bit difficult sometimes. That particular example, the inverter was on back order. I think it was 4 months from China. Okay. But it'd be interesting to see some of the other Chinese manufacturers when they start coming out of warranty, see what the build quality is like and the reliability of them. So, yeah.
I mean, my car at home is an e-Nero. Do you rate them?
The Kia.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they're pretty good. Is it the hybrid? No, e-Nero, so it's the full EV. Yeah, they're pretty good. We've done inverters on them, haven't we? Okay. Again, DC-DC converter failure, but very few and far between. Yeah. They're not a brand that, well, other than for regular sort of maintenance, MOTs and servicing and that, they're not ones we see sort of catastrophic failures on regularly. So again, a brand we'd recommend. Much easier than before, wasn't it?
Yeah, right, good.
So essentially that's the new battery installed.
Okay.
What we'll probably do is we'll recommission the high voltage system, connect the 12 volt battery, check it's all okay before we put the undertrays on. Okay. And then assuming it's all good, we'll stick the undertrays on and ready to go.
Brilliant. So fine. So now the service plug goes back on and we test if it all works. I say we test, I don't do anything.
Yeah.
Film.
So actually for a service plug, these Nissan LEAFs are actually in quite a nice place. Sometimes you've got to take off the rear seats or sometimes they're elsewhere. Sometimes they're not even a high voltage disconnect, it's a 12 volt disconnect.
Oh right, okay.
So on the BMWs you've got a little green plug that you have to unplug and then take off all the high voltage connections, and then the battery is completely dead from the rest of the car. I know the 330e does that. Okay. It's a 12 volt disconnect that makes it safe. Then you take off the high voltage connections, test it, and once that's all good, then you can work on it. So there's actually no physical service plug like this.
Right, okay.
Right, all back together. We'll reconnect the 12 volt battery, plug in our scan tool, make sure everything works, make sure the car starts, and go from there.
Brilliant.
Hopefully it's all good.
Right, so the moment of truth now. So we're all back together, all connected up. So switch the ignition on. First of all, see if it goes into ready mode, and if so, see if there's any error lights on the dash, and go from there. All right, so we have gone into ready mode, but we do have some error lights on the dash, service EV system and the turtle light. So 29% state of charge. So we'll plug the machine in. Hopefully it's just a bit of soft coding, which is quite normal if you're fitting a foreign battery into a car. If we were even just replacing this with a 40 kilowatt Nissan battery that we got from a salvage yard or something, you would have them lights when you first installed it, and you just have to program the VIN into the BMU. So hopefully that's all we've got to do here. All right, so that's the VCI connected. You can see in the high voltage battery module here, we've got 12 error codes at the moment.
Okay.
And one in the EV system. So hopefully these will give us an idea of why there's some lights on the dash. As I was saying to you a minute ago, when you fit a foreign battery from a salvage yard or anywhere, this is the code we normally see, invalid battery.
Okay.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm optimistic that this is just going to be a little bit of soft coding and we should be good.
And put the VIN in the vehicle.
Yeah, so let's do these. Sierra Juliet November.
So we've done this VIN registration on the battery. Now we've got to do this battery ID registration, which is also the VIN.
Well, it's looking promising. The current code is now cleared.
Going green.
Right, let's try again. And there we go. So you can see now that we've got, it's in ready mode. We've got no error lights on the dash. 29% state of charge, which currently gives us 70 miles.
Yeah, I'll be needing a charge before I get home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's brilliant.
But maybe we could stick LeafSpy on and see what that shows us.
Should we do that? Yeah,
Let's do it.
So you got LeafSpy
Yep,
in here?
yeah, so we'll pull it up. Sometimes it takes a little while to connect, so we'll see. So we've got a 99.91 state of health, so basically 100%. And across the whole pack, we've only got a 17 millivolt difference, which is amazing. When you learn all this stuff, they teach you that the tolerance is about 200 millivolts.
Okay.
But in reality, we see them fail at an even sort of lower tolerance than that. But it's even gone down to 15 now. So obviously this isn't loaded. So the real test would be monitor this under sort of harsh driving conditions to load the battery, but it's a very good sign at this stage.
Okay. And I guess charging it up to 100% would be good, right? I mean,
Yeah. So obviously, I'm not sure how VIVNE have treated this battery up to now, what testing they do prior to sending it out to us. But a few charge cycles and a few drive cycles, then get a very good idea what this battery is capable of.
yeah. So the state of health, I mean, I would expect that to be 100. Why would that be 99 point?
I'm not sure. It could be maybe the time it's been in storage, or the testing that VIVNE do, or it could just be a compatibility issue with the aftermarket battery and LeafSpy.
Okay.
Because obviously LeafSpy was made for the genuine batteries that are available.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that could well be the issue. Thank you. I mean, in comparison to what we done to Sean's, it is easy. It was the temperature sensor loom, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a bit of a stressful one. That.
But to be fair, in VIVNE's credit, we worked out it was like early hours in the morning for them.
Yeah.
And they were replying to our concerns, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
So can't knock them for that.
Yeah, definitely. So what happens with the old battery then? Is Sean sorting that out?
Yeah, so the customer in this case is, I believe he's arranged someone to purchase or collect the old pack. Up until very recently, if the modules were unusable, we got some contacts who use them for self-storage and things like that. But if they were completely knackered, we used to actually have to pay for disposal.
Right.
I think it was £3.50 a kilo, something like that. So
Okay.
it did add up, and sometimes if it was a lot, we had to put a disposal charge on the cost of the job.
Right.
However, we got contacted by a guy recently, and it appears that the tide might be changing in that, and it may be going the way of sort of traditional batteries where there's actually now some monetary value in the scrap.
Yeah.
We got contacted by a company who says, we'll wait and see if it happens, but they're saying that they're actually going to pay us for our scrap batteries.
Brilliant.
So,
because a lot of people worry that batteries end up going to landfill, but firstly, you can't.
no,
Anyway,
definitely
right, so-
not, no. We was actually discussing this the other day. I think it's going to sort of come to fruition that there's going to be, because at the moment, the only part of this trade that is regulated really is aircon. So if you have to have certificates to recharge and discharge vehicles with aircon refrigerant. I think at some point in the future that it should be the case when you're working on these vehicles with the safety concerns around the components. And also as an extension of that, maybe storing batteries, like, you know, like if you have gas bottles, you have to store them in a cage and things like that. Then maybe there might be some sort of regulations around keeping and storing batteries, new or used.
Yeah.
Particularly, I mean, see some people online, like good guys, reputable garages, but they have big stacks of packs, for example, that they struggle to dispose of. But I mean, the good stuff's in there, right? So hopefully there'll be some sort of recycle route in the future.
There's not that many batteries that die in the grand scheme of things, but as they do, you know, we can harvest pretty much everything that's inside them, and then that can go into new batteries, so it means we don't have to mine as much. So that's all good. So that will happen, and it means it will keep it an industry inside the UK as well, which would be nice.
That's exactly what the guy we spoke to was hinting at.
Yeah.
And if they're going to pay us for them, or even just take them free of charge, then that's a cost that we don't have to pass on to the customer.
Yeah.
So it's a win for everyone, really. And obviously, the storing faulty high voltage batteries, when you specialise in them like we do, the space gets taken up really fast.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have an outlet that comes down semi-regularly to take all the scrap batteries that you've got.
Yeah. So my local garage, they were talking about EV stuff and saying they don't want to work on EVs too much because they're worried that the batteries are going to explode and things like that. Do you have is there quite an insurance cost for you because of the high voltage work?
Not really, no. I mean, our insurance, obviously we started as a traditional garage. We still have the company next door, and we just use the same insurance company we do for them. The cost from memory wasn't astronomical.
Okay.
Again, whether regulations may force that to change in the future, that waits to be seen. But at the moment, no. But yeah, we hear about a lot of garages who say, "Oh, I won't touch that. It's EV," even if the fault doesn't necessarily lie on the high voltage circuit.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's beneficial to us at the moment. But I do expect that to change in the future.
Yeah. Oh, I went to a garage, they wouldn't even change my 12 volt at the time because they were worried about touching anything inside it.
We see it a lot.
But it's just a lack of education.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now I'm going to join Jade and charge up the Leaf and see how well it charges. So we're at McDonald's, an Instavolt charger, and Jade's now going to charge up, which hopefully will work fine.
So we'll be using the CHAdeMO side. I can hear some noises. And it's charging, I believe.
I think in theory should go up to almost 50, I think, with the Leaf. And that is quite low state of charge. Nice, 45 kilowatts.
I need about 100 miles to get back to where I'm going. 50% will be plenty.
Okay.
I'm sure, yeah.
Probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe,
Yeah.
I guess. So we see what range you've got? 136 miles, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's enough for you think?
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
plenty, yeah.
I know a lot of people were wondering that in the previous video. Does it charge okay? And yes, it does. So how do you think that this went? I mean, obviously, compared to the last time, it was so much easier, wasn't it?
Oh, it was much easier, yeah. I can appreciate the logistics is probably a bit more difficult because of the size of the package and the weight of it, but from installation purposes, much easier.
Yeah.
And a little bit of soft coding, which we didn't have to do last time, but minimal fuss. Really happy with how it's gone today, and it's not even lunchtime yet, and we're all done. So yeah, I can't complain.
Fantastic to see just how easy it is to replace a pack. And the only real issue is just the cost of getting these batteries from China, from VIVNE. Get ready for this. This is how much it cost, and it's quite a lot, unfortunately. So new worldwide shipping laws have come in this year, and it means that it's much more hassle and cost to ship batteries from China, or anywhere, in fact. The pack itself, 50 kilowatt hour pack from VIVNE, is $7,676, so that's £5,570 at the time of recording. Shipping to Felixstowe Port, that was £262. Clearance, terminal handling and delivery to the EV workshop was £684. VAT and duty, £1,554, and battery installations, the labour cost was £360, so £8,430 in total. Jade's husband Sean was dealing with all of the shipping, and it was a real pain for him dealing with a logistics company. They just assume that you know all of the terminology, the acronyms and all the rest of it, so he found that a real pain. He found them very unhelpful, just because they deal with other companies all the time, so it's a bit strange, I suppose, getting a battery shipped from China yourself. The shipping cost was particularly high this time, I think because it was one big pack, massive pack in fact, so 371 kilograms for the pack. Now the previous time it was shipped in 4 separate modules, so that probably makes the shipping cost a little bit less. The total cost last time was £7,500 for the same size battery. That was with one whole day of labour, because it was much more of a pain last time. So yeah, £8,430 this time, £7,500 last time. So if you're going to do the same thing, just bear all that in mind. Hopefully that will come down. It really needs some enterprising person to get a warehouse and get a whole stack of these in bulk. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and massive thanks to Jade for bringing in her Leaf, wherever she is. And thank you, of course, to Dean and Cameron for doing all the work and for putting up with the camera and being in their face the whole time. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please subscribe and press the like button, and I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.